Josh, in your early 20s, you've done over 5 billion views on social media, a feat most content creators never hit. I'm curious, what opportunity did you identify in social media all those years ago?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is I for the longest time wanted to be able to do social media. I knew that to some capacity I wanted to be able to educate other people, make content for other people to enjoy. And growing up, dude, I was typical, played three different sports, hang out with my friends a lot throughout school. That was never something I really had time for, but I knew deep down kind of I wanted to create it, right? Um, and the biggest opportunity that came around for me is when COVID started to happen. I was damn, this might be the free
Hmm.
time that I actually have been needing all this time. So I really did take advantage of that, and I identified the something that I was passionate about, which at the time was Fortnite editing, and I identified a huge gap in the market. There was no one making editing tutorials. I had to teach myself how to do the editing myself when it came to making these Fortnite montages and stuff like that. And I was like, this would be super cool for me to be able to make videos on this. And growing up, I wasn't like, I'm going to make Fortnite montages when I'm older. But that opportunity presented itself. And throughout everything that's happened in between, it's just been kind of like a crazy roller coaster, hopping between things and trying new things and meeting new people and whatnot. But yeah, no, it was literally just COVID that gave me the time to, acquire the skill set that I have today and network with so many different people and a lot of people that I still connect with and talk with on a day-to-day basis, even to this day. And a lot of even the original friends that I met within the first 6 months to a year of doing content creation, I still, have some of them editing for me. And it's crazy, like 5 billion views. I think that might even be an old number that I got from 2 years ago that I haven't
Oh
updated.
wow.
So I wonder what it's at right now. But dude, it's yeah, it's crazy. And it all started thanks to COVID. And, I know that was such a tough time for a lot of people in terms of being able to carry themselves throughout it. And a lot of people did have a hard time with a lack of a social life, but that's kind of what I needed at the time. I needed a little bit of a push towards this, and probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. And yeah, it's just been crazy.
Man, you and I had very different COVID experiences. I got fat and played Fortnite, and you started making Fortnite videos and making money.
Well, no one said I was in the best of shape. Okay,
Right.
I was making Fortnite videos and I was playing the Fortnite. I
Yeah.
did get a little bit bigger. That's actually when I started going to the gym as well. Was
Oh yeah.
right towards the tail end of that initial lockdown. Right before we went back to school. I don't know how things were. How old are you guys, by the way?
22.
24.
22 and 24. Oh, so you guys, so then you had a kind of normal graduation, right? You didn't have
Ye-
a,
Yeah, I graduated in 2019 before COVID.
oh,
I was
okay.
actually in university when COVID hit.
So, but Colton, you had a normal graduation, right? Kinda,
Kind of,
or
yeah.
no?
We didn't know if it was going to be canceled right before, but yeah, we still
Because
have
I
it.
know, I know the people, what the 23-year-olds, I would say. I think those are the people that got their school year cut off right at the
Yeah, my
end, right?
girlfriend, she's 20. Well, she just turned 24, but she graduated in 2020, but she didn't even have
Yeah,
graduation
I know.
because it
That's
was
what I'm
cut
saying.
off.
That year was cut off, and then the year after
Yeah.
that, which I think is your year, Colton, that
Yeah.
was kind of they tried to make it work, and then I got lucky. My year was we had an actual graduation, but we didn't have some of the traditional graduation stuff going on.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, interesting. How old are you, Josh, by the way?
I am 22.
22.
22. Okay,
Just
cool.
turned 22.
Okay.
Well, happy belated.
Thank you.
But looking back on that journey, obviously you started during COVID. Were you afraid of being judged from your peers from kind of starting content creation? Because I know that was a big fear for me back in the day when I wanted to do content creation. It took me a long time to actually get there.
Yeah. It honestly was like a mix because I had kind of like I'm pretty self-aware like when it terms of in terms of like other people's perception of me, and I knew that a lot of people at the time kind of, I was the kid where once I would warm up to like one of my classes in elementary school and I started to get to know people, it was like I was kind of the entertainer, I guess you could say. Like
Mm.
I was like, dude, I had the thing on the corner of my desk where like my teacher would have to put a smiley face or like a frowny face depending on my day, and I was always like cracking jokes and stuff like that. So I think people knew to some capacity that I was always like outgoing in that sense. Like when it came to new people, I super shy. Like can't I still to this day like striking conversation with people I don't really know is like my brain thinks there's a gun to my head basically. But yeah, no, it's like I kind of was like, am I gonna get judged? Maybe, but like people also kind of know that I'm outgoing. I got this energy and I'm passionate about this. Maybe I will get made fun of, but I was kind of prepared for that.
Mm.
But yeah, when I returned to school, because obviously like the kickstart of everything happened while I wasn't interacting with anyone on a day to day basis, like going to school and seeing people. I think it would be a little bit different if I was posting with 200 subscribers or 500 subscribers
Yeah.
at the time of going through school consistently and actually going through that grind, like while I was going to school and people would see my videos progressively. But no, when I went back to school, I was like already at like 50K or 70K or something like that. So to the point where I had a little bit of like credibility behind what I was doing. It wasn't just like me, you know, just posting with
Yeah.
the hopes of something working, and it was kind of like not embarrassing myself because obviously with high school people are going to judge you regardless of what you do, like literally anything. So it kind of helped to have like numbers behind everything, and it was actually weird though because not a lot of people knew that I did that until like after high school had ended, and I had already been doing it for like 3 years. So yeah, no, I was a little bit worried, but that's just, and I'm sure like you know now, as we post more and more and as we go day by day, that threshold for caring about a comment or opinions or something, it just progressively
Yeah.
just gets like lower, and you just kind of filter it out. And I was even thinking back, like I had something pop up in my Snapchat memories. I had a screenshot of a comment that I'd gotten maybe like 4 years ago. And I remembered that comment really, really bothered me. Like I saw the comment and it like triggered something inside of me. I'm like, yo, like I remember reading this for the first time. But looking back, I was like, I don't know why I even gave it the time of day. And that's just kind of something that comes with time, obviously, in posting and, people giving you the props that you've been, desiring. But yeah, no. Sorry, I kind of veered off there, but it's just something that happens with everyone. I feel like everyone's kind of self-conscious. It's just like a human tendency to be aware of, our surroundings and people judging us, because at the end of the day, what we do is not normal at all. We're moving
Yeah.
towards an era of everyone's life where like, people are going to be saying that they're self-employed doing all these things, and it's becoming a lot more normalized to not get a degree and be able to pursue a career in something that's self-made and self-built all through our devices. But yeah, no, we're kind of in like a weird transitionary phase where like right now I feel where everyone's posting content, that judgment is kind of going away, which is awesome because I feel like everyone has value to give through content, no matter if they're living the most normal life they think possible. There's always an aspect to their life that I think someone else could enjoy through content. And it's kind of cool being able to see that. Like I feel like when did you start posting on social media, Tyler?
Just 9 or 10 months ago now.
No,
I mean,
still,
I,
yeah.
I used to make like Call of Duty videos like 15 years ago. I
Oh, yeah.
made Fortnite montages as well. Actually, in 2020, I did
Oh,
some
nice.
stuff with that as well and did live streaming stuff like that. But like for this new version, the podcast and like my finance brand and stuff, it's actually only been 9 months of kind of being like face on and more like business content for sure.
Oh, damn. Yeah. But I mean, I assume that compare from like now compared to before when you were making like Fortnite montages and stuff, I assume that like not threshold for being judged,
Yeah.
but like I assume that fear of being, but just considering what's going on, right? Like how many people are posting content, like it's got to feel like a little bit more normal to be able to like branch yourself out there than like
Yeah.
posting
definitely
when friends have something to say. I mean, friends still do have something to say every here and there. Like you dude, sometimes I'll post a reel and I'll see the shares right away. And I'm like, oh, this has to be my friends. And
don't you wonder who those are? It's like, man, those
no,
came really
I always
quick.
end up finding
Who's
out,
flaming
dude.
me?
Like I'll go into like my friends group chat and we'll be talking about something. Then all of a sudden, someone will like drop the caption of one of the reels that I posted that I guess it was like too like corny or something like that. Like just word for word, they'll just like put it in chat in response to like something I say.
Oh, but you
So,
gotta. I mean, maybe they're jealous. Obviously, they're
No,
just joking
they're
around
just
too.
They're just having fun with me. Yeah.
But it's like that's the point of being a content creator too, is putting yourself out there, and still a lot of
Oh, yeah.
people aren't. I
yeah,
kind of have
no.
a follow-up question. Being, you said you were always wanting to post content and create content, and COVID gave you the opportunity. But where did that passion actually stem from?
I would say, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I always just had this feeling inside of me where, like, I wanted to, you know, impact on a large scale. I don't know. It might sound like weird, but when I was younger, like, I literally was like, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be like someone who posts videos. I want to make videos. I think I even went through a phase like where I was convinced I was going to be a comedian at the age of like 5 or something like that. Like I just thought like something on a large scale, right? Like stand up on a stage, talk to a lot of people, make them laugh, sort of thing. And I grew up watching all these YouTubers playing Minecraft videos and Call of Duty and stuff like that, and I was like, this is really cool. Like I want to be able to impact other people the way that these people impact me, because I know that there are also millions of other people that these creators are reaching. And I don't know where it stems from, but it's just this feeling that I've had that I've kind of been chasing, where I know that I have a greater purpose and I want to be able to do big things. And even my first year after high school in 2022 or 2023, I guess you could say, that kind of in between, because I graduated June of 2022. But I took a bit of a break from content in general, and that kind of was very eye-opening for me. I, was working at, I mean, you guys know Earl's, the restaurant.
Yeah.
I was working at Earl's in the kitchen, and at the time I wasn't doing anything really content related. Like I was like posting sponsored YouTube videos from emails I'd gotten like months prior. I wasn't posting long form videos. I was just getting these emails slowly from all my old content, and I would like post these sponsored videos every here and there for extra money. But I would go to Earl's. I was working like 2 days a week, making like $240 every, I don't know if it was every other week or every week or whatever. But that was very eye-opening. I'm like, dude, this is like, I hate this. Like I had the best 2-year stretch of my life before this. I hate this right now. And I kind of started slowly taking on more editing work. And that's when I started just becoming like a general content editor. And from there, I went into posting on TikTok a little bit more. And I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And then I was doing editing for the longest time. Then, fast forward a little bit, got involved with UGC, all that stuff. But that's been that. Like, I just have like this feeling that's just been there. And that 1 year that I took like of a gap, that really like set that feeling on fire. And I was like, I need to do something with this, because what I'm doing right now, I can't do forever, because I can't lie, I was miserable. Yeah. So I couldn't tell you exactly where it stems from, but I just got to say that feeling's always been there to do something impactful and like on a larger scale. So I would say that's just literally where it comes from, is the pursuit of that.
Yeah, very interesting. It sounds like you kind of got into a bit of a slump, and was that right after graduation? Is that right?
It was kind of like the 6 months leading up to graduation
Right.
and like 8 months after it, sort of
I
thing.
gotcha.
Like I had taken so much time and allocated it towards, making my videos. And even when we went back to school at the start of grade 11, which was that weird, like sort of hybrid area of COVID time, I was like slowly stopping my work stuff. Like I was posting videos here and there, but then I was like, I spent so much of my life, like I was working literally 90% of the day during COVID, making these videos, working for free, recording videos, posting videos, editing videos for other people, that sort of thing. So I had like no social life for the longest time. And on top of that, I'd just be playing Fortnite with my friends. That would basically be my social time, and I would just use
Right.
those clips for my content, sort of thing. So I was always working, and that really took away from my life. Like vividly remember the beginning of grade 11, my parents sitting me down and being like, you need to like hang out with your friends more. Like you need to go and like genuinely, they sat me down. They're like, your social life is in shambles right now. Essentially, that was that conversation. That happened a few times. And then, it just got to the point where I was like, I went to a party or two with my friends, and I was like, you know what, I might just want to do this for a bit. So I took a year off and was like going out with my friends and living kind of like a normal high school year, just because I felt like I needed it before it was over. And that I'm honestly really glad that I took it, because it helped me learn a lot about what I want and what I feel like I'm made for, and kind of like my purpose with everything. But yeah, I mean, I went from working, like grinding my ass off like I am right now, to doing nothing and drinking with my friends, to doing it yet again. So,
Right.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
interesting. You kind of alluded to it a little bit, but I'm curious, early on when you started making these videos and having a bit of success growing this, 50K, 70K before you went back to school and stuff, did you have any sort of vision of like what that could develop into at that point, and to kind of build off that, thinking forward to graduation and adulthood? Like, did you have kind of a plan of like, if I keep doing this, I can make a lot of money and have a big impact?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, as a high school kid, like, yeah, it's easy to say, like, I want to do this when I grow up, right? But I feel like your ability to think long term is very limited. And I remember I'm like relating back to those times, or thinking back. I didn't have a lot of like, I want to do this by this and achieve this by this, and kind of just have like a mental like roadmap sort of thing, which I didn't have, because even graduating high school, I was under the impression, or I guess even like in grade 11 when YouTube was still going like full speed for me, I remember being under the impression fully that I would graduate, go to UBC or SFU to do business or of some sort, or do finance, to become a financial advisor, because that's what I wanted to do for a long time. And that literally never steered my like mental plan for any of this content stuff. Like I was fully convinced that, which I literally did. I went to UFV for 3 semesters, so like a year and a half, and like it was just something that I wasn't able to really like see through fully, I guess, like in terms of my mind. Like sitting here now, I could tell you like my exact plan for what I want to achieve by even the end of this year or next year, and when I want to be able to, move to, let's say, Arizona or something, because I want to start doing TikTok shop, because they don't have that here. Um, like obviously now I have all these like crazy plans and visions for my content and stuff like that, and what this could turn into. But at the time, I literally had no idea what was in store. I was just playing it day by day, like quite literally. And it was nice, having a little bit of financial security, because like at the time when you're like 17 and you're like doing pretty good off YouTube, like you feel like the man. So it's like I was literally just posting videos daily, recording them the day before, posting them, and just continuing that. There was no planning down the line, like 6 months I want to start doing this, and this week I want to like how it is now, where I'm like, this week I really need to finish my portfolio website with Claude, and then next week I need to make sure that I have like a storefront integration with that, where I can start selling my products, and then that will help with me like launching my offer and do my coaching and stuff like that. Like, I never had that back then. I literally just thought it was like a temporary thing, I guess. I just thought it would be like this cool thing that I could do for a little bit. And I didn't like, I 100%, if you asked me at the time, do you want to do this for the rest of your life? I would have said yes, because it was just so much fun and I met so many great people. But the only thing is I just lacked a plan with it. And I don't know if I went back and I have the knowledge that I have right now, if I would be able to like turn it into something more successful, and I would get to a point where I'm more successful than I am right now, sort of thing, if that makes sense. But it's just like, I don't know. I guess to answer your question, like, I literally had zero idea that it would turn into this. And I just thought I would ride it out. It would die. I would either segue to something else, or I would just go to school. Like, I thought I was going to for the longest time. And at the time, that didn't sound so horrible to me, considering it's been what I wanted to do for,
Right.
since I was in, I think, like 5th grade or something like that. Like, that was when I decided that I wanted to be a financial advisor, because my uncle is, and he has a nice house and nice cars, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, literally zero idea that I would be doing what I'm doing, or where I'm at, or the fact that I'm not even in school right now. I think if I sat down with 17-year-old me and had a conversation, like, he would be a little bit surprised in terms of the situation right now. Happy,
Yep.
but surprised.
That actually lines me up perfectly. I wanted to go back to that 17-year-old. What was the feeling when you edited and posted your first video on YouTube?
Dude, I literally remember, I'm gonna talk about like the first piece of content where I like was in a content creator mindset, because I feel like everybody makes those videos where, you like sit down, or like, I have a video on my YouTube privated where I'm just screen recording Clash of Clans, I think, and I'm just doing a voiceover. Like, I don't count that as like my first video. And I had made some like super shitty Fortnite montages that at the time, where I like had zero editing experience. I don't count that either. I count my first piece of content as like the time where I sat down. I'm like, I'm going to film this tutorial. I'm going to edit it. I made a thumbnail, all that stuff. Like, my first piece of like high effort content where I'm like, I'm going to do this. I remember literally sitting down, recording it. And it got to the point where I'd edited it. I had it ready to go. And I was like, I had this weird like voice inside of my head. I'm like, this is kind of stupid. Like, why would I do this? And I actually vividly remember this. My setup's been in so many different spots in my basement, but it was here at the time. So it's kind of like weird, because it was, my desk was rotated the other way, but I could literally like close my eyes and remember sitting here facing to my right. But anyways, of like me saying to my friend Noah, I'm like, I don't know if I want to post this. And he was like, dude, just literally just like throw it up. If it doesn't do well, you can delete it. Like, who cares? And I was like, you know what? Like, honest, screw it, whatever. And I posted it. And I remember it was like doing okay for like the first month. Like, it got like 1,000 views, 2,000 views. It was like slowly ramping up. I think by the end of the first month, I had like 3K views. And then it was just like compounding. I was like, it's like 10K. And then it was like 25. And I'm like, yo, this is kind of weird. And then I think at the time right now, or at the time after like a year, it had hit like 150K. And I think now it's climbed up to like 300K or something like that. And that was the first tutorial I ever posted. But I had all these comments like, make more of these, or, how do you do this effect, or how do you do this specific thing? And it was like, holy cat, like, I can't believe I almost didn't post this sort of thing. And that's why I remember it so vividly, because it was such a key moment in my career and my journey, that I really wonder what would happen, or what would have happened if I didn't post it, because I don't know if I would have ended up making tutorials, and that literally put me where I am right now. So literally probably one of the most pivotal moments in my journey was posting that first piece of content. And, I did have a bit of a push from my friends. So I'm happy to be able to say that my friend Noah did push me in the right direction, which I have also helped him helped him out with his business as well. So I guess I kind of have paid him back. But
There you go.
yeah, dude, I literally I remember that exact moment sitting before posting it, everything that was going through my mind, before and after, and super glad that I was able to post it. Like, beyond grateful, considering that's probably the reason why I'm at where I'm at right now. So
Yeah, man. That's amazing. Obviously, that was a very pivotal moment for you in your journey, and I'm guessing another pivotal moment was 3 semesters at university, and you decided not to go back. Let's go into that decision where you were like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing this with my life.
Yeah, it was interesting because I had no idea what to expect from university. UFV for everyone that doesn't know, in Vancouver, you got like SFU and UBC are the main schools. Those are actually in Vancouver, but then you got UFV, you got some other ones that are just out in Timbuktu, in Abbotsford, which is like a 40-minute drive from my house, 45 with no traffic. So that's like an hour and 15 when you factor in traffic. So was already a little bit like, why, like, really, considering I had class 5 days a week when I first started, I'm like, this is going to be a long semester. But I went for the first week. I kind of enjoyed it. Like, I met some new friends and whatnot. It was kind of cool. Just the different structure of classes, like the jump from high school to university is very significant. And I know that it's a big, like, culture shock for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't do well with like anxiety if there's like big groups of classes and big lectures and whatnot. But no, I really did, I enjoyed it for the first little bit, and like I said, like, that was kind of happening at the same time as me doing that stretch working at Earl's for the beginning. So I was just kind of like, I'd wake up, I would work at Earl's on the weekends, and I would go to school, and that was literally it. And I had a girlfriend at the time, so that was literally just my life. It was Earl's, school, and hanging out with my girlfriend. And that was kind of when I started to get the feeling of like, I feel like I'm not doing enough right now. I feel like I threw away this like great opportunity, and I started to feel really guilty about like my content creation stuff. And when I was working at Earl's, I started taking on editing clients one by one. Like, I think I had someone reach out to me. Like, I don't even think I made the conscious effort of like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Like, I didn't have like one of those. Like, it was in the back of my mind. But when this guy reached out to me, he was like, hey, would you edit a short form video that's like a promo for a company for $150? And I was like, dude, yes, what? Like, I work for $240 every other week, and I put in like all these hours at a restaurant in the back making eggs for brunch, because that was literally my job at Earl's, was working exclusively on brunch shift making poached eggs. Anyways, but yeah, I was like, dude, of course I'll do it. Like, what? So then I did it. I'm like, that was actually really easy. Why don't I try to do more of that? So then I started reaching out to like old content creator friends and stuff like that. I ended up getting a YouTube editing like monthly retainer deal where I was editing for like $500 a month, doing like weekly videos or something like that. So I'm like, that's awesome. Let's go. At that point, I literally like doubled my monthly income from 2 clients. I was like, why am I not trying this more? And then I took on more and more and more, and that kind of started to take away from other aspects of stuff. Like, sometimes I'd be like, I really have a video due, but I've class at 8:30. I'll just read the notes online, sort of thing. And I'll do so. I'd edit the video, because like, why would I not? If I could finish this video and get paid $200 today, why would I not do that? So started doing that, and then I got to the point where I was like an online school warrior and wouldn't go to class for like 2 days out of the week. Like literally like lying to my parents and stuff like that, like saying that I'm going to class when in reality I was literally just like working my ass off, doing as much editing work as I could, on top of like everything I had with like, I was still working at Earl's. At the time, I was still working at a Thrifty Foods in South Surrey. I literally had 2 jobs, which I had 2 jobs. I don't know why, but my mom made me get a part-time job. Like, I literally started doing well on YouTube before I got my first job. So I got a part-time job after I was making like $5K a month from YouTube. So
Brutal.
which that kind of kept me grounded. But yeah, no, it was just progressively going to school less and working more. And then, obviously like my grades started slipping. I started failing a few classes. Some of them I hadn't shown up for a lecture in like 3-4 weeks sort of thing. Like there was literally this one class I remember I didn't show up to a single class. And I remember doing the assignments and I was at like 60% in the class and I'm like locked in for my final exam. Like I got to do this. Like I just need to get a decent mark. And it would be like the best thing ever. Like I passed this class and I didn't go once. Like I feel like that's such a cool story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And then I failed the final and then I ended up failing the class. So, but then I was like, you know what? This is I need to just like kind of lock in on this. And I was doing well with some of my clients. And I remember super crazy, weird coincidence. I remember having a conversation with my mom actually, after she'd picked me up from one of my shifts, and I had gotten a few full-time clients. That was the biggest thing. I was trying to prioritize getting long-term clients that paid me consistently. But I was like, you know what? I literally said to her, I was like, I need one really big client or one more client that's like good money and I can actually do this full time. Like I don't have to work at Earl's. Like, I can go to school, I can work and do this stuff, and that literally just that be it. And I remember getting home from that shift. Like it was really weird. Like she had parked and I got out of the car and I saw this notification on my phone of my friend tagging me in Twitter replies. And I was like, oh, weird. Clicked on it and it was a job posting for editing. And my friend had known that I was like trying to take on more clients. And crazy thing is I met my friend Shaden that day on a Discord call, trying to connect on figuring out what would work the best for it because he was looking for a short form editor at the time. I was that short form editor. And dude, it's crazy because that was my best paying client for the longest time up until about a year ago. And I was doing consistent work with him. I quit my job right after that. I was working a lot more, and that client, which I'm really close friends with him now, like he was literally just out here in January. I went with him to Miami in November for his birthday. Really close friends with him. But yeah, that was such a pivotal moment was talking to him and connecting, getting that job, because that was the one that allowed me to quit Earl's. And then from there, I was working a lot more. And I was like, you know what? The school thing, I think I like failed 2 or 3 courses that winter semester that I finally quit Earl's as well. And I was like, I just need to drop out and focus on this work stuff. And at the time, it was like a year or 2 sort of thing. Like I had a conversation with my parents, like this is just going to be like a year or 2 where I'm just like kind of taking my time to figure out what I want to do, working a lot, doing my content stuff. And that was the beginning of 2023. So, literally like my birthday week was my 3-year anniversary of doing this full time, which is crazy. But yeah, no, it was, university was definitely an eye opener. Just in terms of like the routine of everything, where I'm like obviously like no, like I would never bash someone in university because like I know that obviously like some people actually do enjoy that lifestyle and like awesome. It's just like it was a lot waking up at like 7 a.m. every morning, driving straight out to Abbotsford, having class, having an hour and a half gap in between, having to kill time, sitting around, go to my next course, drive home in rush hour again. Dude, I was like, and then obviously I didn't even have weekends because I'd have to start work at Earl's at like 7 a.m. and I'd be working till like 2. So I would have no time to do anything. And all my other time would go towards work. So I was like, this is brutal. And when I graduate, like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to be working the same like schedule. So I was kind of in like a weird period where I'm like, I'm going to take a year or 2 figuring out like what I want to do. I didn't really know if I wanted to do the content stuff full time, if I wanted to keep on pursuing being a financial advisor. I had no idea. But yeah, no, definitely one of the biggest like kind of eras or phases of my life was that university stretch where I was super close to falling into that. Because like I think if I would have went two and a half years with no failed courses and like full credits for everything, I think I probably would have finished the 4 years, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a lot easier to be able to say like I'm gonna do another year and a half than, you know, to give up 2.5 years of progress and hard work. So the fact that I basically had like maybe like a year's worth of credits after I had like failed probably like 4 or 5 courses sort of thing, over the 3 semesters I had gone, it was just easier to take a step back and walk away for a second. Yeah, so I don't even have like my 2 year or anything like that. I literally have like nothing. So, but yeah, no,
Same.
definitely a very like key part of my journey was that like year and a half stretch there.
Interesting. I'm noticed a key theme with you, and it's you're extremely hardworking. Whatever you're doing, you kind of go all in and grind. Have you always been a hardworking kid, even in elementary school? Because I mean, like in high school, grinding, editing, going to school, and then university too. It's impressive.
Yeah, it was. That's honestly just like something that's that, and like I never really knew it until my mom had said something to me about it. But it's literally like you said, like once I am like in something, I'm like all in. Like I'm literally I can't give something 50%. Like I'm always 120% in whatever I'm doing, whether that's, you know, a relationship or, you know, like friendships or, you know, anything work related or, you know, just like an odd project, whether it's like building a dresser in my room. Like I can't do anything until I'm like done and it's in the right spot and it's good, sort of thing. Like I'm very particular and I have very high standards for myself. And yeah, like, dude, in high school, when my mom made me get a part-time job, like I remember I had applied at 2 places. One place my dad knew the owner, and one place my friend had just got hired. So at the time it was Canadian Tire and Thrifty Foods, and I'd applied to Canadian Tire first, Thrifty's second. I got the job interview at Thrifty's first, but I wanted to work at Canadian Tire, so I was like, I'm just gonna entertain this job interview, whatever. Got hired at Thrifty's, then got hired at Canadian Tire, kept them both, was working. And I mean, like with the way the school was in grade 11 for me, it was like an hour in person a day, the rest was online, or like an hour and a half or whatever it was. So I had a pretty open schedule. So I was posting on YouTube daily, working at Canadian Tire 3 days a week, and then 3 to 4 days a week at Thrifty's as well. So I was like, some days I'd work twice, some days I'd work once, but there was rarely a day where I'd have nothing. And then on top of that, I still had soccer, I still had school sports. Yeah, so I was literally like, dude, max workload, like I couldn't take on anymore. And like I've always just had like this constant like grind mentality, I guess you could say. Like even the last 3 years since I've gone full time into all this, the amount of, you know, like 16-hour days and 12-hour days and all-nighters that I pull and like stuff like that, like I've lost track, honestly. Like I couldn't tell you the average amount of hours that I work in a day because it fluctuates so much. Like some days I'll work 6 hours and be like, dude, this is so awesome, so blessed to be able to do this as my job. And then the next day I'll work 16 hours and I'll be like, damn, I thought I was past that, sort of thing. Like I thought I was past that stage. But yeah, no, I literally, I'm always all in. And I feel like that's something that's kind of worked to my advantage is just being able to put my head down, work at something, get it done and move on to the next thing, or be able to, you know, have the successes from that hard work. And, you know, it's just like, that being able to be 120% into everything you do is just a very useful or valuable asset to have. But yeah, no, it's hard sometimes because then I'm like always fully involved and I can't pull myself out of it. But yeah.
The dark side of entrepreneurship, right?
Dude, yeah, like not a lot of people know about it. It's like the amount of conversations I have with people where, and I posted a video yesterday talking about it. Like, I could literally give you everything, but you would fail still. Um, dude, the amount of times like I questioned where if like this was actually worth it, and like the all-nighters and the crazy to-do lists that are like this long where I have to like mow through in a day sort of thing. Yeah, I feel like that's such a, and I see more of it now. Like you'll see all those time lapses on your Instagram reels of like people sitting at their desk for like hours on end, and I feel like that's becoming such a normalized thing for people to understand the hard work that actually goes into stuff like this. But I feel like for the longest time people just had like this twisted expectation of what being an entrepreneur actually looks like. And like the thing is, 90% of people can't do it because they don't have the, tolerance mentally to be able to do the same thing over and over again. Like, experience failures and have the highs from successes, but then the next day you're like losing $200 on ad spend in your business, or like whatever it may be. Like, every single avenue towards making money online has its own unique set of struggles. And dude, like you said, dark side of being an entrepreneur. Like, I'm glad that people are normalizing it more and really showing like raw, genuine clips of them like working. And obviously when you set up a camera and you do a time lapse or whatever, it's not actually like genuine, it's for the sake of content. But like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm just glad that like I'm able to finally see like 17-year-olds posting, showing them like staring at a wall for 10 minutes and then working for 3 hours, instead of being like, yo, this is the car I just bought. And then they don't show, the 100+ hours that they put in the month prior. And people just
Mhm.
have that expectation of like content creators are lucky, or like entrepreneurs are just people who got lucky, without actually like experiencing the struggle. And that's why I have like so many friends that are really trying to figure out what they want to do, and a lot of them are experimenting with stuff online. And the amount of people I've had where they're like, you know what, like, I honestly admire what you do because this is really, really, really hard. Like, I have had people say that. Like, I have my one friend building a media agency, and he's like, dude, I had no idea. He's like, I have so much more respect for what you do. This is insane. I had a conversation with a friend on the weekend about how he's trying to do trading. And he's like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, and he's trying to post content on it as well. I'm like, yeah, well, you got your day trading set up, so that's pretty demanding in itself, and learning that. But then now you're also trying to mix in content. Like, dude, of course you're going to be completely overwhelmed. It's just, I'm very glad that, like you said, that dark side of entrepreneurship is being showed, because I feel like for the longest time that was really missing from social media. And I think it's very
Mhm.
valuable for people to know what they're getting themselves into before they actually start doing that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's definitely a big component to it as well. It's all the long nights when nobody's looking, but at least you're starting to broadcast that, and people can realize they're not alone. But I'm curious, through all the highs and the lows, and there's a lot of lows in entrepreneurship and a lot of long days and a lot of long nights where nobody's, in your corner rooting for you and you just have to grind. How do you actually stay motivated to keep going forward?
Dude, I ask myself the same question consistently. No, it's just day after day being able to kind of take a step back and see where I'm at right now. Like, I've talked about this with my friends, and like I always preface what before I say it. I'm like, I don't want this to sound like as if I'm like looking down on everyone that works a normal job right now. But if I were to go work a normal, like, let's say I were to lose everything today and someone were to say you're not able to do anything related to social media, and they're like, you have to go get a job, which, sorry, trigger word, but no, if someone were to say that and they tell me like, you know what, you need to wake up at 8 a.m. for the next like the rest of your life and go work 5 days a week, I would be so miserable. Given for the last 3 years, I wake up, obviously, like, I have some stuff early, but like sometimes I can stay up till 5 a.m. and not have to wake up till 12, and I can set my own schedule, and I can do all these amazing things. And I've really come to the point of being super grateful for that every single day, and being able to do that on a day-to-day basis is like, it's awesome. And that's kind of my motivation, is being able to, like, how lucky am I, well, not lucky, but like how blessed am I to be able to have this opportunity? Why would I ever give it up or lose faith? Because obviously I'm put in this position for a reason. And it's like, it's always having something to build towards. And that's the biggest thing when I hear people say, like, once you hit like a 100K month or a 500K month, like it becomes harder to set those goals that are, you know, that we're chasing right now. Like, obviously, like, all of us probably want like that super nice car. We want to be able to have that house paid in cash, like, and not have that stress. Like, I know we all have that one big goal in our head where it's like, once you hit it, you'll be like, yes, finally. But then we always have goals beyond that. But as you get to those bigger goals, it's harder to set those goals that you can really chase and grind for. And it's like, I can't remember who said it, but they said that, like, after achieving everything they had ever wanted, all they wanted moving forward was to be back in the position that they were chasing those things that they were wanting to achieve. Yeah. So it's like, it's literally like being grateful that I'm present in the moment, chasing and building all these different goals that I have, and always making sure that I have goals, because I know that once I don't have big goals where I'm like, I want to achieve this week and make sure I get this done, that's when I start to lose a little bit of motivation, and it becomes like a little bit of a drag going through like the motions a little bit. But when I have like objective goals where I have them written down, I'm like, I need to do this by this week, or really do this one big thing this month. Yeah, that's just kind of what keeps me moving in terms of that, I would say.
It's interesting because Chris Williams says you don't want the thing, you want the feeling of chasing the thing. And I think that's true for every entrepreneur. I mean, yes. You're always going to be raising the bar and trying to get something new. I know we're coming up for time here, but Tyler's going to finish it with the last question. But I have one more, and it's, what do you think your biggest failure is up to this date?
Biggest failure? I would say I really, and this is something that I think about a lot, would be, I don't know if I would be in a better position if I had not stopped doing YouTube, because I really was doing great momentum wise and kind of just like hard stopped. My numbers fell off and it was never the same after that. Like, I really don't know. And like, obviously, like, making UGC stuff is really cool. And I'm like so blessed to be able to do that. And it's so much fun. And I honestly love it. But it's like, I really don't know where I would have been at YouTube wise in terms of like making my long form videos and transitioning into something new. Like, who knows? Maybe I could have been like 1 million subscribers doing, you know, generalized video editor content or like entrepreneur stuff. Like, I could be in a much different position, but I don't know if I would be in a better position. And for the longest time, up until I like got a little bit more comfortable recently, because like, honestly, like the last 2 years leading up to this, like I was making good money, but I didn't have really a sense of security because I don't have anything to show for my university. And like anything I do needs to be kind of solidified within the next 10 years. And that's been my mindset. I can't be doing, you know, UGC stuff and grinding my ass off, working 12 hours a day editing when I'm 35 or 40 with kids. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something I can do. So this path that I chose, I have a shorter window to make it happen. Right? Like, obviously when you graduate university in year 4 year, you have, you know, from then up until the point that you retire to set your family up and, you know, really achieve that success. But obviously as content creators and doing stuff online, and you guys probably also have that same mindset, whatever you do, kind of, it is a lot more short term. You need to be able to make it happen sooner than the average person has to with, you know, their own finances and whatnot. And that is true to an extent. Like, obviously, if you do content or you do video editing, you have a skill set that you'll be able to use down the line. You can still work a bit, but with my mindset, with what I have, it's like, I need to make it happen right now. And I don't know if I would have been on track to be set up better if I was still doing YouTube. So I kind of viewed for the longest time not fully pursuing my YouTube until it died on its own.
Hmm.
I perceived that as a failure a little bit because I felt as if I gave up on a lot of hard work. But then at the same time, like I did learn a lot through that experience, and that kind of set me up to where I am right now. And obviously, like I really love doing what I do. So maybe if I did YouTube, I would be in a different position doing something that I enjoy less. So that's something that I really think about. Kind of like there's a duality of it where I'm like super grateful that I did stop, but then I also am like guilty to the point where like I had that opportunity and I threw it away to go drink with my friends, right? So it's like I don't know. I view it as a failure, but at the same time, it's like I shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Literally, that's all it is. But yeah, for the longest time until I like, I guess, and like not calling myself successful, but recently I've started to do a lot better for myself. Yeah, one of the biggest stresses literally up until that point was like, would I be in a better position right now? Would I not be stressing if I had pursued YouTube fully and not stopped? Yeah, because like I would say the first 2 years of working full time, dropped out of school, was very like work intensive, and I was working a lot. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to maintain this. And I was just kind of just thinking to myself, like, if I was making YouTube videos, would I be making better money? Would I be working less? Would it be easier to take on other stuff on top of that sort of thing? Just kind of questioning the route I took almost. I would say that would be the biggest failure. In my eyes now, no. I couldn't really tell you the biggest failure in my eyes right now. But at the time, for the longest time, it was kind of like a failure in terms of like me questioning if it was the right decision sort of thing. But obviously now I know that it wasn't necessarily a failure. It was more so of like a defining experience. But yeah, no, I couldn't really tell you a failure that I view as a failure still to this day. So
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's something that I've learned a lot, especially this year. It's like everything that's a big deal 3 years ago is not a big deal today. And like these failures and these moments, they're all just character building and things really pass on. And it's not a big deal. And, you can reflect on those moments. But at the end of the day, you're still moving forward. You're going to find new experiences. And if you're motivated and you're grinding, you're just going to continue to level up. So I definitely resonate with that kind of feeling of looking back on your life and wondering, what decisions
100%.
could have been better. But like Holt said, we're getting to our time here. We ask every single guest, Josh, one last question. Super simple, but it stumps a lot of people. And it's just, if you could leave anything with our audience today, what would that be?
dude, that's a weird thing, man. Like I feel like that's a question that a lot of people get asked on. Like I see like School of Hard Knocks. Like I feel like that's the
really?
same question that people
interesting.
get left with as like one piece of advice for the younger generation or the audience or
Maybe
whatever.
that's where we got it from.
Yeah,
Subconsciously.
dude,
Apparently we stole it.
I've heard the question before, and I hear people answer it, and I've subconsciously thought to myself, like, what would I say? So this is the weirdest thing being on the other side of that. But I would say honestly, and I even talked about this yesterday, is just all you need in order to pursue your dreams, which is very realistic, by the way. Like, I think that anyone can achieve anything if they put their mind to it. And I know that through the things I've accomplished that I thought were so crazy. I literally just trusted myself, and, I trusted my faith, and I really just did what was necessary. And, I've known and I've learned through what I've done that accomplishing your craziest dreams is so possible. And I'm literally just a normal 22-year-old kid that started doing this when I was like 17. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. And it's never unrealistic. And all you have to do is you literally need to be insane. And one of the I mean, I'm not saying that nothing that my dad says sticks with me, but one of the things that my dad said to me that stuck with me for a very long time was when he defined what insanity was. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time. And then I started hearing people saying that you need to be insane. And I was like, wow, that actually really starts to make sense. He told me that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And I really think that that's something that people need. They really need that quality when it comes to doing stuff online. You need to quite literally do the same thing every single day over and over again, regardless on what happens. You know, if you end up feeling tired at the end of the day, if you wake up, you don't want to do it. You literally just need to have that consistent approach where you're just relentlessly like knocking on the door sort of thing until you finally get through, and then it's on to the next door, right? That's all it is. You need to be insane. You need to have faith. That's literally all it is, and everything's possible.
That's awesome. Thanks, Josh. That's a great final note for our audience today. You know, anyone who's still listening, check Josh out. All his links are in the description below. Thank you all for watching this episode, and make sure you subscribe as well to the Real Leverage Podcast.